My guest today is Aisling Connolly. Aisling is head of the Chain Fusion initiatives for DFINITY. The DFINITY Foundation, of course, is a major contributor to the internet computer blockchain. We'll learn all about this today. Welcome to the show, Aisling.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here and looking forward to talking.
Very glad to have you here. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be super cool if you could please introduce yourself. Love to hear a little bit of your personal and professional backstory. What have you been doing in the lead up to getting involved with the internet computer?
Well, sure, gladly. So yeah, my background is in math. I studied math and economics a lot. And I did my PhD in cryptography, actually. So with that, I kind of moved a bit more in the crypto direction. At the same time, I was also working in the payments industry. So I was seeing a lot kind of how yeah, the payments industry works and seeing and knowing the crypto side, seeing all the kind of fun blockchain stuff that was happening. Bitcoin was growing, Ethereum was growing. And so then after a while, I thought, it'd be nice to jump full time into the blockchain world. And so, yeah, with the cryptography background, I worked a lot on privacy. And through this, I knew Jan, who's the CTO here at DFINITY now. So, yeah, it was the first natural choice for me to go and join a team led by him with lots of cryptographers, focusing heavily on security, scalability, and the future of tech generally. So that's how I ended up here, basically, this in a nutshell.
Thank you so much. And well, just before we jump into Divinity, I saw on your website, Aisling, that I suppose an easy way of kind of describing your work or what you like to do is, it kind of sits at the intersection of cryptography, information security, and privacy, right? So, yeah, why are those things important, do you think, in this increasingly digital world that we live in?
Very nice question. And yeah, it's something I care about a lot. And I think you summarized it nicely, this intersection. Um, but yeah, I come also a little bit, I mean, personally, I'm quite interested in human rights and things like this. And so when you see the world and, people's lives becoming increasingly digitized, this is great. It's cool. It opens us up to a lot more information and connectivity. And now we don't need to spend, weeks traveling around the world to get to know about different cultures and things like that. So on the one hand, it's very nice. But on the other hand, with, I mean, a lot of these technologies and the access to this is provided by centralized organizations or single organizations like Google, Facebook, this kind of stuff, which is great. They've really been pioneers in the tech. But on the other hand, they really steer how individuals in use the internet, use digital services. And I think for me, this is not so great. I mean, it would be nice if people had a bit more autonomy and control over their digital lives. And I think blockchain very much offers that. So um, they, I think Chris Dixon from A16Z uses a lot the analogy of read, write, and own. So the third kind of Web3 now, end users or individuals have ownership over their data, their tokens, their assets, whatever it might be, their digital stuff, NFTs, games, whatever. Um, so for me, this is super important that they have ownership and that they can use it in ways that they like. And yeah, I think it's nicer to have technology moving into the hands of the public a bit more.
Yeah, very nicely said. And of course, hard to disagree with that. Aisling, let's move, I suppose, then to the DFINITY Foundation. So I think I said at the top of the show, yeah, very simply a major contributor to the internet computer blockchain. But I think, for a lot of listeners, will have heard of internet computer. Some will be a little bit more familiar with it than others, but perhaps even less that will be aware of, yeah, the work that you and your team do at the DFINITY Foundation. So do you want to maybe just, yeah, explain a little bit more about what the foundation is, the vision, its goals, and so on, and then of course we'll talk internet computer as well.
Sure. So I think like a lot of people here have been involved in crypto and cryptography and blockchain since the very early days. Dom in particular, the founder, was involved kind of in Bitcoin and Ethereum at the early days. And you saw with Bitcoin, I mean, it was great. Like when it came, it offered this sort of decentralized peer-to-peer payment system, and this was great. So finally, and it came like right after this recession, the 2008 recession, I remember like everyone saying the word recession. It was a big thing, but Bitcoin came after this, and it gave this sort of glimmer of hope that there is some sort of freedom from the sort of financial institutions. And then I think a lot of the kind of early people following this saw that this could be extended to a compute platform. And so then Ethereum formed around this idea. And a lot of the early contributors to Ethereum said, okay, now we have the sort of hope of financial future from Bitcoin. But, with Ethereum, we can kind of hope for this freedom in tech future. And so Ethereum was established. But at the same time, it will kind of subject to some limitations. It's highly, highly secure, highly decentralized, let's say, but it is a general purpose compute platform. But yeah, it's slow and it's kind of a single thread, and it doesn't really serve the purpose of the world's kind of software and systems as maybe Google or Amazon or whatever sort of cloud service provider does. And so I think the goal, like the original goal of Dom and why he set up DFINITY, was essentially to build this sort of third generation blockchain that would kind of elevate sort of the early Ethereum ideas to challenge a bit more the Amazon, Google cloud service providers. So that's why the foundation was set up. He came up with the sort of initial designs for the architecture, like highly scalable, much more usable, decentralized sort of network for hosting all the world's kind of softwares and systems. But at the same time, not forgetting that Bitcoin and Ethereum are the blockchains that gave the hope of this sort of future of freedom. So naturally, the kind of next step after launching this highly scalable network was for, say, the smart contracts on this network to be able to hold Bitcoin, to be able to hold Ethereum, and to be able to transact, so that you could add an extra layer of efficient programmability to Bitcoin and Ethereum as well. And this is how we get to the chain fusion side of the work that we do here.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, yeah, chain fusion. So as I understand it, that is the leading priority, I think, I suppose, for you and your team this year. So yeah, please jump in. Chain fusion.
Right, sure. Well, yeah, as I said, the goal was originally to build this sort of decentralized network that could challenge AWS and Google Cloud and these kind of things. And yeah, with the goal of also integrating Web3, which is the kind of web that we hope becomes the future, let's say. Smart contracts can hold Bitcoin and Ethereum and assets from other chains because we see the value in those, and they are the pioneers. But this works through two ways. One is that the smart contracts can hold keys. So in crypto, if you have a wallet, it's all about your keys and signing transactions. And, the way that you interact with the blockchain is via keys and signatures. And so we basically give the smart contracts on ICP the ability to have keys and signatures in a fully decentralized and trust minimized way. And so this was kind of the pioneering innovation, let's say, of the chain fusion story. But having a key and being able to sign transactions is one thing, but at the other hand, you also need to be able to send them to the other blockchains. You need to be able to read and write to the other blockchains as well. So with that, so the other side of chain fusion is these blockchain integrations. With Bitcoin, ICP nodes also run Bitcoin adapters. So in the Internet Computer, in ICP, there's always an up-to-date UTXO set that smart contracts can read from Bitcoin and directly write to the Bitcoin blockchain. And the same for Ethereum. There is now actually recently released the EVM RPC canister, which allows to in a decentralized way communicate with Ethereum to read and write.
So do you see this then as perhaps one solution, Aisling, to the idea of, and crypto, it's at some stages it has become very tribal. It's kind of chain against chain, winner takes all, and Ethereum maxis, Bitcoin maxis, and whatever else. Solana, of course, has had its own turn in the spotlight, I suppose, this year. But meanwhile, maybe that's just from kind of a kind of crypto Twitter perspective, whereas behind the scenes there are the tech people, if you like, such as yourselves, are building the rails that make a much more seamless economy decentralized or not, built across all the different ecosystems. And really, that's the only way that Web3 can succeed, it would seem.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very good point. And it's not many people actually make the distinction between crypto Twitter and the kind of behind the scenes tech people. So it's a nice observation that you make. But yeah, like in all my experience, so I started my PhD in 2015. I was studying and teaching cryptography 13, 14. So it's over 10 years now. And since then, it's always been, yeah, like behind the scenes, all the tech people work together. Like I know a lot of the Ethereum people, the Cardano people, the Bitcoin people, the ICP people, the Polkadot people, the Cosmos people, everyone. Like, and we all think that everybody's doing great and everyone's doing really cool stuff. And like no one fundamentally disagrees. They're all just different ideas that everybody's exploring. And of course, there's some competition because it's like everyone believes that their idea is, somehow better in their opinion. But it always has been very collaborative, I think. And it's true that on crypto Twitter, you see this tribalism you have in the past. But even this, I think, is changing a bit now, especially this year. So I think with the Bitcoin last year, you saw like a lot of the Bitcoin like compute and scalability and L2 sort of conversation kick off at the end of last year because of ordinals and runes and these meta protocols that they're built around the Bitcoin blockchain now. And people got excited about this. And a lot of, let's say, my Ethereum friends started, engaging a bit more with the ordinals community. And the same with Solana, like at the start of this year, this meme coin hype cycle kicked off. And again, there, a lot of the sort of, let's say 2019, 20 DeFi summer people that were all in on Ethereum and like Ethereum DeFi start now trading meme coins, and the NFT people start playing with ordinals. And I think we've seen, because we had this Bitcoin integration live for the past 2 years, we are one of the places where the tech is actually live, where people can start to experiment and play around with this multi-chain narrative. We've seen a lot of people and a lot of protocols migrate to ICP over the last couple of months. And so at the conferences, maybe not so much on crypto Twitter yet. I think the tribalism is still there. But at the conferences, let's say at the Bitcoin, I was at Bitcoin Asia recently. There were a lot of Ethereum people, Solana people, ICP people. I was there. So yeah, I think the tribalism is coming down. I think, yeah, Bitcoin and Solana, the rise of these narratives around those really helped a lot to break down some of the silos. And we kind of then slip in with the tech solutions and say, we're here with if you want to actually prove that you're not such a maxi anymore. But yeah, I think it's becoming less, which is great. It's really nice to see because, yeah, as I said, behind the scenes, like in the tech conversations, it was always the way that everybody thought that everybody else was doing cool stuff.
Yeah, well, that's so refreshing and reassuring to hear, and I very much agree. But you make a good point how the kind of the narratives of crypto Twitter, they come thick and fast and they move quickly. Internet Computer itself, like just looking at Coin Market Cap, it's about I think number 24 in terms of the by market cap, which is still reasonably good, but it still shows that perhaps there's a little bit more room to grow in terms of all metrics really. But how do you go about I guess really in one sense just telling your story, and that means everything. It means attracting users to the chain. It means attracting developers and just telling the story of your solution, I suppose, to Web3. It's quite a tricky problem, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I fully agree. There's so much room to grow, and like, we really have a lot of tools that I really would love to see used more. And I think this was a lot of the motivation for Chain Fusion. So, like, as I mentioned, I came here because there was Jan and a huge team of cryptographers and like super strong R&D effort. And so we always had this very sort of tech heavy, tech focused background. And I think, I don't know if anyone will say it out loud or if anyone will admit it, but I think it was like, if we build great tech, they will come. And I think we really tried this a lot. And of course, that doesn't happen because we also, on the other hand, agree that there's lots of other cool tech out there. So you obviously need something more. And so with the Chain Fusion initiative, I think one thing that we really try to do is broaden the scope beyond just the tech. And we also have a really great growth team here who is like heavily embedded in different ecosystems. So like they know a lot about Ethereum, they know a lot about Solana, they trade a lot of meme coins and things like this. They know a lot about DeFi. And so now with this, we try to pull everyone together a bit more to sort of engage a bit more with the communities, to actually embed ourselves in the conversations beyond just the tech. Like, here's how it's used. And I think the result of this, something that, you know, if I give talks about different tech perspectives or different features that we have, the thing that I notice about my talks now is that I have much more like ecosystem stuff to back it up. So there's a lot more projects I can showcase to say like, look, these are building this specific project. You can go and try it out. You can actually engage with it. These VCs are now interested in supporting ICP ecosystem projects. And so, yeah, we try to expand the scope a lot beyond just the tech to include, yeah, all the sort of demonstrators, all the products, all the applications, the community stuff, the marketing stuff, the parties as well. It's a lot about entertainment in crypto. So yeah, we just try to really broaden the scope and have this much more sort of holistic approach rather than just build great tech and they will come.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the metric is build great tech, you know, looking through the DFINITY website, it's almost intimidating the size of the team that you have there. So, and you've got, you know, headshot photos, and then everyone's titles and a little paragraph bio, and there's just an immense wealth of technical talent that you guys have there. Yeah.
Intimidating to be here sometimes as well. Like these engineers, like there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of Google engineers, a lot of people from IBM, Microsoft, some from Apple as well, Facebook, there are a lot of people. And so like they all have huge, yeah, engineering knowledge of like building, you know, global scale tech systems. So sometimes it's a bit like, whoa, okay, we're actually doing this. It's cool.
How do you think then, you know, that one of the kind of other problems, I suppose, with Web3, as much as you know this more than most, Ashling, you've said it yourself. You know, you can build the great tech. Doesn't mean they will come. Not certainly, hopefully they will, but it doesn't happen overnight. And of course, the transition from Web 2 is not a kind of overnight thing, and you know the general you know, mainstream people, whatever you want to call, you know, the people that haven't interacted with blockchains and smart contracts yet. There are, as you know, stumbling blocks in the road for people to dip their toes in. You know, most people probably aren't really ready to live a DeFi world. It's fine to own some NFTs, have some Bitcoin, have some Ethereum, some ICP, whatever, and start to play around with things. But for a real world, full scale Web3 economy, what do you think that looks like? And, you know, how do you think the kind of timeline plays out? And are we just, you know, a few generations of the tech away from really being ready? I know this is really big kind of picture stuff, but just love to understand how you think about it.
I love these type of questions. Like, I used to always, when I worked in the payments industry, I tried to like very much like bring, let's say, the upper management in the payments. I was working at a very large payment, like a global scale payments company. And I really tried to convince them, like, look, crypto is the future of payments. Like, we have to do this. And like, you know, try to imagine 20 years from now how the payments industry will look. Do you think it's still going to run on mainframes from like the 70s? Like, no. So yeah, I very much like this big picture sort of futuristic imaginary stuff. But I mean, maybe I can go into that in a second, but I think one thing that's also fun to do is to take a step back in time. So like if you put yourself back in 1998 or something and you look at the internet and it's like you kind of see it and it's like, okay, I mean, one of our colleagues here, Kyle, always gives the analogy like when the internet came around, he could now read the news on the internet. And his friends were asking him, but like, I have the newspaper. Why would I even want that? And it's like, because it's cool or something. I don't know. But yeah, when like I think we're at that stage now where it's like, we can read the newspaper on the internet. And people are asking, but why? We don't need that. And it's because it's a bit piecemeal engineering still so far. And I think like this goes back to the tribalism point. There's like a few building blocks and there's a few sort of applications that people are going all in on and refining. And I think over time, even with the reducing of the tribalism, these are becoming, yeah, a bit more seamless and interoperable. And so when I think about the future, I think the future is not too far away. Okay, to find that. But I think this future where we will have interesting stuff in the real world is not that far away. I mean, within 5 to 10 years. Bitcoin has been 15 years already. I think within the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see a lot more real world stuff. And maybe one example that I like to give that I think makes it a bit tangible for people is if you look at something like Uniswap. I think Uniswap is a very nice, kind of simple example that allows people to see what DeFi is kind of. You can swap things. It's a bit like a bank. You can do currency exchanges. Maybe you can get some interest, whatever. The thing I like about it in particular that I think makes it a bit more Web3 than, just a simple bank or a swapping protocol or foreign exchange, whatever, is that, in 2021, I think, or maybe early 2022, they had their token drop. And all of a sudden, Uniswap became a DAO, so this decentralized autonomous organization. And the token holders could, participate in the management of this protocol. So not only is the tech decentralized, but also the management of the tech now becomes decentralized. And an interesting thing happens because it's like, okay, first of all, how do we communicate? How do we govern stuff? I think this is very interesting, and it goes back to the point about bringing the power to the people, like bringing the technical power to the people. But another interesting question that that helps me see a bit into the future is, okay, Uniswap is great, and it became one of the most prolific protocols, and it operates across many, many different chains, mostly EVM chains for now, but still different chains. And so if the Uniswap governance team or whatever, if the Uniswap DAO makes a decision to change the protocol, how does this change actually get executed? Is it executed autonomously through the smart contract? Maybe on Ethereum, yes. But across all the other chains, how does this decision propagate across all the different chains? And so I think this is where we are now. Like, this question is where we are at the technical level. Okay, how do we propagate change across different chains? So one is, yeah, transactions and messages and data and all, but how can we actually upgrade smart contracts across chains? So that's where we kind of are in the whole technical world right now. But if you imagine in the future, maybe 5, 10 years or something, suppose that's all ironed out. And Uniswap as a protocol has its governance. People participate in the direction of it. They make proposals and they change it and they upgrade it. And autonomously, this is kind of propagated around the world, whatever that might be, around different chains seamlessly. Everything is abstracted away from the user. And so you all of a sudden you have these sort of huge public owned banks, or Uniswap is one thing that's maybe comparable to a bank in the future, but any of these sort of protocols now will, in my view, become these sort of companies that we all use on a daily basis, and they will be governed by the people, and everything will be kind of, yeah, seamless and easy, and they will just see it like normal companies now. So for me, this is kind of the futuristic look a bit, and it's not too far away.
Wow, that was great. Fantastic thoughts there, Aisling. Yeah, no, really, really well articulated. And I suppose this kind of brings us full circle, if you like. I think the importance of what you're talking about is it's so crucial and necessary as not even a fight back, but just a counter to what has happened with the likes of Google, Facebook, Apple, what is happening already with the likes of Microsoft and OpenAI, for example. As you said at the beginning, incredible tools for humanity, fantastic technology, and our lives are better for it. But there's another side to it as well. And, I think this is what you're kind of talking about, the work of, yeah, not just making sure that we all have human rights in a digital world, but making sure we have the decentralized rails to protect that, Aisling.
Exactly. I find it super exciting. And I mean, it is a bit of a pushback. I don't know if it's a huge fight or a revolution, because I think, yeah, Google, Facebook, Apple, whatever, have a lot of experience in building tech for and pleasing people and like, solving actual problems. And I think one thing that we see, maybe two examples, I don't know how much I should go into them, but one I think we saw recently was Stripe using Polygon for a payment. I think it was Polygon. I think it was Stripe and Polygon. I should double check. But one of the kind of traditional payments players using blockchain for settlements because it's cheaper and it's faster and it's more secure than the traditional thing. So I think a lot of the sort of traditional companies are pivoting towards using blockchain technology because it is simply more secure and offers a lot of the features that you might want: transparency, accountability, la la la. And the other example is with banks. So there's I'm based in Zurich, and once I was at a talk from a guy who's at PostFinance, a bank in Switzerland, and they were talking about Bitcoin custody and how now if you're a customer of this bank, you can store Bitcoin in their bank. And I was like, whoa, 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 hang on a minute. Like, why do we want centralized bankers to hold our Bitcoin? This goes all against the point. But at the same time, he was like, why do you keep your money in a bank now? Like, you don't keep it under your mattress. You don't want to mind it yourself. You don't want to control everything yourself. You don't want to set everything up yourself. We provide the service of minding your money. And yes, sometimes people trust us. Yes, sometimes we break that trust. Yes, sometimes there's corruption, but also we do provide a lot of service. And so I see also like the traditional players like the banks also sort of pivoting to this, saying, okay, we provide a service in the centralized world. Why not provide services in the decentralized world as well? So I think while it is a bit of pushback, it's also like, hey, welcome, come, like you give us your services here as well. And yeah, so I think hopefully we see this sort of migration happening slowly over time.
Yes, indeed. Very well said again. Aisling, look, as we start to finish off this part of the podcast, please just, for people that are interested in learning more about what the DFINITY Foundation is up to, maybe they want to have a look at the intimidating tech talent on your team there. Also, of course, where can they go to learn all about internet computer and why internet computer could just be the full stack decentralization that creates the sovereign network that extends the internet, Web3, internet computer. Just shout out some websites and look your own Twitter profile if you have one, all that stuff.
Sure. I think the main website for the Internet Computer is internetcomputer.org. I think there you see a lot of information about various things that we care about and that we're working on at the moment, and get some information about how things work and a bit about the ecosystem and how to get involved. Another thing is if you're a bit more sort of geeky and want to look at some statistics, there's dashboard.internetcomputer.org where you can see all the nodes, where they're located, sort of transactions per second, the speeds, the uptime, all this kind of stuff, the amount of smart contracts. You can track everything there. One thing that I love, it's like so typical of the ICP community. I find it hilarious, and it's also, I don't know if we don't like to pick favorites, but this one is just so funny and so appropriate for us. There's a guy who's building a clone of Windows 98 on the Internet Computer, and he's calling it Windows 98. There's also a token, but if you go to the Windows 98 website, you can like run Windows 98 in your browser and interact with all the ICP apps there. So I think that there's the DeFi protocols, some SocialFi protocols, various games, little things like this. I think it's a very nice entry to the ecosystem just to kind of click around. It's sort of tangible way to click and see how you can see what is live. Like everything is on chain, all the front end is on chain, everything. So yeah, full stack decentralization. And it's super cute and fun and plays very much on this meme tech narrative, this sort of nostalgia tech narrative. And actually, the website I find is quite beautiful. There's also meme coin that goes along with it that people are very excited about. But yeah, it's kind of a full package of fun things to kind of get a brief introduction to see how it goes. And my Twitter also, yeah, you can follow me at Ash Connolly, AIS Connolly on Twitter.
Fantastic. And yeah, I'm looking at that website now. I'll put the link in the show notes, folks, but Windows 98 com. And yeah, you're right. I mean, so it's a beautiful, nostalgic website. It's pure internet culture.
Yeah.
1998 meets 2024 via Doge memes, blockchain. Yeah, looks great.
The reason I like so I mean this whole meme coin narrative kicked off at the start of this year, and I think a lot of the community were like, we need some memes, we need some memes, and I just love that this came along because we are so tech heavy. I mean, we said this
Mhm.
before, and I just love that they come along. Okay, let's build an operating system around our meme coins. Like, oh my God. Guys, seriously, we're supposed to be just like drawing pictures of frogs and dogs and whatever, like, and here you are with your operating system. But it's actually great because now I have an example to say, like, oh, just go there and you can start interacting with a whole bunch of stuff in the ecosystem. So
Yeah.
I just find it hilarious.
A highbrow tech take on crypto meme culture. I love it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
I think what we do now, Ashling, is we will finish off the podcast by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
sure, of course. Always down for hot takes.
All right, I'm just going to run some questions at you. All I want you to do is give me your kind of honest hot take style answers, if you like. Question one for you. I would be fascinated to see what you have to say. Ashling, where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Where do probably very far on the multi-chain opportunist side. I very much like Bitcoin. I think it's great. I believe it's a great, like, yeah, currency. I believe it'll bring financial freedom to a lot of people. But I also believe that, it can be used around the internet in a lot better ways. And for this, you need very strong multi-chain rails.
Yes, very well said. What would you say then, Ashling, is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
That, yeah, users need to take control, gain maturity, engage in ownership of their tokens, of their assets, engage in ownership of the protocols, get involved in DAOs, know what it means to vote, become informed, become opinionated, and engage. This is the way we take control.
Yep, very good. Idealistic, but I like it. Speaking of idealistic, UBI as a potential fix for AI-induced automation. Is that a good idea?
UBI as in, sorry, maybe I'm not so clear on what UBI.
Yeah, universal basic income or
Ah,
something.
okay.
Yeah.
As a fix for AI.
Well, not necessarily as a fix, but yeah, as a like, yeah, potentially. What if 80% of jobs disappear in 10 years? What
I see, I
happens?
see. I see, I see. I hadn't made the connection before, but I mean, I think yeah, a universal basic income is a great thing. I believe it's a good thing. I think the so there's two sides to AI. Sorry, I'll try to be brief.
No,
For me,
please.
there are two sides. On the one hand, I believe it's again a great technological tool that helps us enhance our own like work and daily lives. And I feel in one sense it can help to make us more human because it takes away the sort of menial tasks that we have to do and it allows us to actually think and be creative and do the sort of serendipitous work that machines cannot yet do. So on the one hand, I think it makes us very human and I hope it takes away the menial jobs and allows us to grow into, yeah, more interesting positions and, to take ownership and to think and engage more. But yeah, on the other hand, that's not going to happen quickly because social change is much slower than technological change. And so, yeah, in that sense, maybe UBI will help to sort of bridge the transition and not harm people too much.
Very well said. All right. Well, look, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. As a blockchain builder, you'd be all too familiar with that. But look, 10 years is a long time. But yeah, anything you like, Web3, internet computer, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I hope again, I think following on, I hope that the tribalism doesn't persist. I hope we really see a lot of secure, I mean, I'm a tech person, so like I'm super excited about a lot of the tech. There's like a lot of verifiable computing, a lot of privacy computing. There's like a lot of, and so I guess my answer to it's funny. Like when you say you underestimate what can happen in 10 years, I remember in 2015 saying, 10 years ago, we never would have expected that the whole internet is encrypted. So like end-to-end encryption is solved. And in 10 years, we'll never expect that end-to-end computation is solved. It's not solved yet, but people are really making some great advances. So for me, in 10 years, I think computation will be fully encrypted. Privacy will be real, and people will have control of their data and their assets, and will engage in the protocols. For me, this is the 10-year horizon.
Very nice, very nice. William Gibson, sci-fi author, famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, Aisling, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
I mean, sometimes when I talk to people, to my friends, and I say, look, I mean, all these tokens and these coins and this ownership and the payments that I make, they're like, wow, you live in the future. So I think, I mean, a lot of Web3, the tools like the wallets, the ownership, the assets, I mean, this is something that exists now, is not being used. I mean, in Telegram, I think is one thing that is used a lot in crypto Twitter, for better or worse. But the fact that you can send tokens and build bots and engage with applications and do voting for protocols and send tokens, everything in there. I mean, these super apps, I think, is something that we'll see a lot more.
Yep, very much so. And that brings us nicely to our final question, which is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Should I admit this? I mean, sometimes science fiction can go a bit weird. Um, can I think for a moment?
Of course.
I think the typical answer is 1984, but I don't think that is my favorite because I think it misses a lot now. It doesn't capture the AI side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I have a favorite. My favorite is I don't know if it's fully science fiction, but I would say it's Metropolis. It's a 1920s silent movie from and this basically talks about building machinery to do work.
Yeah,
So have a
it was Helmut Lang, is that right? Fritz Lang, yeah.
Fritz Lang, exactly.
That's right, yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Helmut Lang. Helmut Lang is a fashion designer, but yeah, I knew it was Lang. Yeah, but Metropolis, famous, kind of like the incredible Art Deco style, yeah, futuristic robots, and yeah, some incredible posters and so on with that. Great selection.
Thanks.
Hey, Aisling, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Hey, that was really fun. Really enjoyed talking to you. Again, I suppose just close it out with, any further thoughts that you wanted to share. And again, just, where people should go to learn all about Internet Computer, DFINITY Foundation, Windows, and so on.
Thanks very much. I just also want to thank you for the very interesting questions, the nice observations. It's been a pleasure to talk. But yeah, please follow us at DFINITY on Twitter, internetcomputer.org to get all the information, make an internet identity, engage with the wallets, and engage with the apps. And yeah, we hope to welcome you in the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aisling. All the best, and bye for now.
Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. That was Aisling from DFINITY Foundation, Internet Computer. Hey, she was cool. Very cool. And Metropolis, great selection for, sci-fi, 1927. So, very, early cinema, early science fiction. All right, we reached the end of another show. Link is in the show notes to DFINITY Internet Computer Windows 98 have a look at that website. It's very cool. Very cool. I'm going to go have another look at that. All right. Thanks, team. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. Bye for now. See ya.